There's some good news for tens of thousands of people in Kentucky. Now, Democratic Governor Andy Beshear has now officially rolled back former Republican Governor Matt Bevin's plan to impose work requirements on Medicaid. So now, in one of his first major moves as the 63rd governor of Kentucky, Beshear signed an executive order rescinding Bevin's Kentucky health plan, which sought to impose strict work requirements for able-bodied working-age adults. Now, the plan would have ended health coverage for an estimated 95,000 low-income Kentuckians and would put an additional 300,000 people at risk of losing their health care. Now, under Bevin's plan, access to Medicaid coverage for adults between the ages of 19 and 64 would have been contingent on them devoting at least 60 hours a month to community engagement activities. For example, volunteering, going to school, or working. So now here's the thing. You might think, well, that sounds reasonable, right? No, that's not reasonable. I don't believe that we should tie healthcare access to healthcare to a job or to going to school or to volunteering or anything. I believe healthcare is a human right. I believe we all deserve access to it. I believe that's called basic humanity. Besides, here's the thing. Even if you don't agree, and I understand there's a lot of people who don't. Look, people who volunteer or go to school, they actually have less time to look for work. Not to mention, you have school that's not free, even in Kentucky, and neither is volunteering. Volunteering, of course, you give most of your time. There's also other costs associated, mainly transportation. And so my point in bringing that up is because if you're on Medicaid, odds are that you're already poor to begin with and that you need a job. Okay? So, look, if you're poor, two of those things can be very difficult to do. In fact, all of them can be difficult to do. Even looking for work if you don't have proper transportation or even access to, for example, online materials. I know because, look, a lot of employers now require you to have some sort of connectivity, some sort of internet access. You also need, for example, a phone so that a job can actually get hold of you and things like that. Those things can be fairly expensive. And so, tying someone's healthcare to that kind of activity, I don't think it's a good idea. Now, Bevin's plan also included monthly premiums and mandated reporting requirements. Now, if you fail to meet any of these requirements, then you would have been locked out. So, what does that mean? So, for example, if you fail to pay a premium 1 month, then you could be locked out for up to 6 months and no longer have health insurance. So, kind of amazing, right? You already have to be poor to qualify for Medicaid in Kentucky, but then they charge you a premium anyway. And if you miss it, a sad day for you. You get sick during that 6-month lockout period, well, you're screwed. You don't have anything. Now, after Beshear rescinded the waiver, which, by the way, hadn't gone into effect, it was tied up in the courts. And look, Donald Trump looked at this as a model, by the way, for doing things nationally, which is good that it actually did not get through the courts. But anyway, Beshear said rescinding this waiver is not only the right thing to do, it is the moral, faith-driven thing to do. And you guys know I'm not a huge fan of when politicians make these faith-based arguments for what they do. However, in a lot of those cases, to be fair, they're usually making an argument against giving healthcare or giving food or anything like that, or immigration, weirdly enough, right? So I think I'm going to give Beshear a pass on that one. But it's because, look, in this case, he's not hurting people. The decision actually helps people maintain their healthcare. And it actually might be more consistent with the Christian faith because Jesus didn't charge no copay. Jesus didn't ask you if you paid your deductible. No. So, look, I'll let it pass. Although, and this kind of annoyed me, Beshear did add, the real way we ultimately move people off expanded Medicaid is through increasing wages for all Kentuckians until they are making enough money to support their family and the cost of private health insurance. So you might, wonder, wait, where were you annoyed at? Well, it's not the wages part. I agree. We should absolutely raise wages, not for just all Kentuckians, but for all Americans. Right now, the minimum wage is $7.25. That's the federally mandated minimum wage. That should be increased to $15 an hour at the very least. So where I was annoyed is the milk toastiness of it all, right? Yes, that's a word. I made that up. Milk toastiness. Um, I don't think that we should be putting people in private insurance. I think that we should have national universal health care. And the reason, of course, is private insurance is unaffordable. That's why healthcare is a top issue among the electorate. So, yes, why don't we get higher wages and single payer, Medicare for all? That's what we need. It's a superior system. But of course, I know that's not Andy Beshear's job as governor to push for that. But look, if you do believe in covering every American and every single Kentuckian with good, affordable health insurance, well, Medicare for all is the only way to do it. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.